Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It's Wednesday, the 20th. So I thought today we'd kind of go over some of the responses in the past week that I haven't had a chance to get to really to answer. And we'll start with the most recent. Now, when I'm talking about finding your passion, okay? And because if you find something that drives you, that's going to get you through the hard times, okay? If it's something that's mundane or you get to the point of where you hate it, when it comes to the hard times, you're just going to walk away from it, okay? Now, I'm not saying that having money is bad. Not even close. What I am saying is since we're all unique, okay, each of us has our own drive and each of us has our own passion. Now, some of us may overlap, like when it comes to business. I love a challenge. I love business. I enjoy being around people. I enjoy my customers. I have great relationships with family and friends. And I value the relationship side more than I do the financial side per se. Whereas somebody else their passion may be just simply having the money, and the drive. But they've been so busy with the passion and the drive that they haven't fostered any relationships, or the relationships they've had, they haven't had a chance to put the time in to make them last long term. So you end up with some people that have got money and they're happy, okay? But they have few friends. And that's what I meant by whatever it is that makes you happy, okay? As long as you are not, this is very critical, as long as you are not stopping somebody in the ground to get where you want to be. Business sometimes can be cutthroat, but there's more than one way to skin a cat. And you can succeed at business other ways than, putting your competition out of business. Just by having good quality products. And if you've watched very many of my videos, I tell you, go to your competition. Become friends. Work with them. Help them out. Because it's a lot more enjoyable when you have other people in the field, in the business, that can relate, that you can bounce things off from. And that's the way our shop has always been. It's been an open door. If any of the other shops or mechanics, whether it be farm tractors to lawn and garden, if they have something they haven't seen before and they want to call and ask us, or can they borrow a certain tool, I'm very open to it. And I'm very receptive to it because I know that these guys are willing to do the same thing. And they have covered my ass a few times, with stuff that I didn't know how to do, Claude didn't know how to do. And I actually had one guy come right over to our shop and show us how to do it on his own time. So, that's where I value stuff. Now, just because I value that, I think relationships are more important than money doesn't mean that you need to feel the same way, okay? Life will be a lot nicer if you have good relationships with your kids and, your cousins, family. coworkers, people in town, church, what have you. Because with money, the nice thing about it is you can also share it. You can help somebody else out there struggling, that trying to start a business. Give them your time, mentorship. So no, money is not bad per se. But if that's the only thing that drives you and that's the only thing you have passion for, then my fear is you're going to get to where you want to be, but there's going to be nobody around you to enjoy it with. And that's why I said I would rather be poor and happy than rich and unhappy, okay? Now, a couple of you guys said that you'd rather be rich and happy. Your worst day being rich is better than your best day being poor. I can't say that, because one of the things that I found as the more I made, okay, the more responsibilities came with it, the more employees came with it, the more outside interference came with it, dealing with all the venues and all the customers online, and bigger is not always better, okay? I've heard guys say, well, if I can only get bigger, I can increase my revenue. Well, there's another option. You can look at where your revenue is going right now, and is there places that you can, streamline it where you don't really need it, but you've had it just because, you've had the money before, right? And that may be, we were affiliated with the BBB, with the Federation of Small Business, Chambers of Commerce of all of them. And I'll tell you, what I found was I never heard or saw, girls, I never heard anything out of them until the day it was that my dues were due again. And they were out in full force wanting money again. And, just in that group alone, I think it was around $1,800 I saved by just saying, you know what? I don't see where you're doing anything for me other than coming and kicking that money. I'd rather take that $1,800 and put it towards something. But see, when I first started up, I didn't want people to think we were fly-by-night. So I did use the BBB and some of the chambers, on our website to show that we were legit. You can go check us out. But since then, I've dropped them. To each their own. I think it depends on the business you're in, but when you're looking at, well, if I only could get bigger, I'd get more revenue. That's one thing, that coming off the top when I was looking at streamlining. Okay, what is it that, you really have to watch the money. Where are you spending the money? Where can you save on the money? Are you charging enough if you're trucking, picking up and dropping off? Are you getting enough hours in a week? A 40-hour repair order, or 40 hours of, where a mechanic has worked on something for his 40 hours that he's there for the week. You got to have it on how many machines. But at the end of the week, there should be somewhere around 40 hours that mechanic worked for you that is billable. And that's the key, is you need to have everybody pulling the weight. And if you got a mechanic that is only submitting 30 hours a week in billables, I want to know where that extra 10 hours was. But in the same token, he may come to me and say, I didn't know how to do a certain job, so I spent extra time learning it having to get repair manuals, getting it out because I had never seen it before. I had to learn how to do it. And you've always told me don't learn on the customer's back. Perfect. Great answer. If my guys are in the learning phase, I don't want them to do it on the backs of customers. I feel that that's on me. I'm trying to teach that mechanic, this is how we do business, right? Where I know some shops that will have two mechanics out in the shop. We'll have 4 machines out there, shelf, and all 4 machines are getting 2 billable hours for every hour that they're out there. Shelf, enough. Now, down. And that you see more with car dealerships than you do with a small engine, but and that's kind of being, if I'm not physically working on somebody's machine, I'm not putting down billable hours, okay? Now, when it comes to ordering parts and stuff like that, that's what I do mainly. Is I'll take the model number, I'll look up the parts, and order in the parts that we need, mark them up a little bit. I don't bill out what I'm doing, okay? And that's one way that I could increase revenue for the business without getting bigger is, all right, if I'm doing the parts lookup, finding the parts and getting them ordered, if it took me an hour, then really that hour should be billed against that customer's machine that we're doing the parts lookup on to find it. And I'm pretty fast when it comes to finding parts. But that's what I've been doing for a long time. People call out of the blue and, I need this part, what does it go on, blah, blah, blah. So I got to find it out quick and see if I've got it in inventory. So, that's one way you could really take a good look at the numbers of your business versus getting bigger and find out where you're spending too much money and in places that are making you money that you're not spending enough money. And if the BBB and the National Federation of Businesses and the Chamber and all the other ones are not a viable option at this time, because the economy is pretty tight with most businesses, but don't be afraid to say no. And they will try to badger you into staying. And no, I will get back to you if I decide to get back in. But for right now, I have other places that the money is more needed than with you guys. Yeah, I remember the BBB, they would send me an email a week before the dues were due and tell me, oh, this one was asking about your business. We gave you a referral. I'm like, must be dues time again, huh? Yep, within a week, your $400 is due, And they have a sliding scale, depending on how big your business is and how many employees you got. But some guys are paying a lot more than that, okay? So you can look at those as ways to reduce, income going out and try to get more revenue coming in without getting bigger, okay? That's why I say bigger is not always better. Now, if you want growth, then you need to have some money tucked to get that growth. Unless you plan on going out and borrowing money or floor planning, which is borrowing again to increase the size of your business. Again, to each their own. If you want to be a floor planning dealer with a lot of stuff on the yard and, having a lot of debt doesn't bother you, I know a lot of these businesses that are doing it. But for me, I don't like carrying a lot of debt, especially when it gets down into the lean times, like the last couple of years. If I was carrying a lot of debt, I would be in deep doo doo. Okay, and that's where a lot of businesses fail, is they've got so much debt. And it's like Amos and I were talking about the trucking industry. I know a lot of guys that are Hotshoters that have gone out, and because they have these grandiose ideas of what it's going to be, of being self-employed and making good money, and so they go out and they either buy or lease or rent a 1 ton or heavier truck, a trailer that can carry up to, we'll say, 18,000 pounds. So it's got duals in the back with their tandem duals. And expect that a broker is going to keep them busy all the time. And that's not always the case. And you have to be smart, okay? If you're going 300 miles out of your way empty to pick up a load, then you've lost money on that 300 to get to that load. You aren't making money until you get that load on your trailer and you're headed, because you're getting paid by the loaded miles, right? And some pay by just the load, But I've seen a lot of them go out and lose their asses because they don't understand that they need a backload, which is coming back, is where they're going to make the money. It's not on the load that they took out. That's paying all their expenses, right? But now they got to come back home. And if you can get a load from where you were at, dropping that load off within, 30, 40 miles or somewhere along the way back towards home, and you can pick up a load to take back to your home area, that's where you're making money. The idea of trucking is to have something on that trailer all the time. If you're running empty, then it's costing you money. Period. Like I say, I've seen a lot of them lose their asses. I think in our area, most of them charge like 3-4 cents a mile, depending on if it's a distance, and then if it's close, a lot more than that. But I just did a load that was around 23 miles for a guy, and it was $200 for the 23-mile distance to take it out and drop it off. And I got to get back there this week and pick it up and get paid again, bringing it back, right? That's how you make money. But I come back empty, and I'm going over empty the second time to pick it up. But I got enough money made on that is covering, being empty for 23 miles. But if you're empty for 500-600 miles, you aren't going to last long in the trucking business. Alright, so got that. And then I want to talk a little bit about the batteries. Where Jason is correct, and I didn't stress it enough, as on your 6-volt where you have positive ground, if you go by the battery that has the plus for a positive and the minus for a negative, if you hook up your charger based on the battery, you're okay. I didn't go far enough. But most of these come with, when I tell you a positive ground, we all look for the red signals positive and the black signals negative, right? But if you hook up a the red to red and black to black on a 6 volt with positive ground, if you're going by the colors, you're going to have sparks and you could blow the battery up. But if you go by the way the battery is set up, of where the positive negative is, and hook it that direction, you'll be fine. But I didn't go far enough, because a lot of times I don't think most of you guys work on tractors, so. But you can't, that's one example where you can't go by the color code coming off the piece of equipment, of where red is normally positive, which it is, but it's a ground, and black is negative, but it's not the ground on a positive ground system. So just keep that in mind. And the other thing I want you to keep in mind is, some people, think they need to change a battery cable for whatever reason, and they don't care about color, and they throw red where a black should be. Just be aware of that too. That like I say, Christmas is getting close. So for you guys that are struggling right now or, stressing out, relax. Cut yourself some slack. If the person that you're with or, if it's based on the size of the gift or the cost of the gift, then probably not a good one to be with. Because I've said it in an earlier video, the most valuable thing you can give to someone is your time, right? And that's part of the reason that the series of videos that I put out, I'm giving my time, and hopefully people are seeing and getting value from it. Because could I be doing something else instead of doing videos? Yeah. But there again, I enjoy the challenge of figuring things out. And I've always been the type of person to give a helping hand to anybody that's around me. It's a lot more fun if there's more of you to share in the joy than you standing on top by yourself, enjoying the joy, I guess. So on that note, I'm going to wrap it up for today, and we'll catch you first thing tomorrow morning. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you have any comments, questions, go ahead and leave them. And on that note, you guys have a great day.